What up, what up, what up? Already set up, huh? Nice.
Yeah, nice of you to make it.
What do you mean, nice of me to make it?
Well, I just thought maybe you'd try to get here on time at least.
Try to get here on time. It's 5:56. I'm 4 minutes early. What's your deal?
Well, actually, you're 26 minutes late. We were starting at 5:30 today, remember?
No, I don't remember. When did this happen? We always start at 6.
Well, didn't you get my Slack?
Your what?
My Slack. Didn't you get the email about setting up your company Slack?
What the hell was Slack? I don't know what you're talking about. Why didn't you just text me? I don't use the email.
Listen, dude, it's fine. Just try to get your Slack set up, all right?
Well, I saw Alien Romulus this past weekend. There are no Romulans in Alien Romulus.
Damn.
So, 5 out of 10, don't recommend.
Damn. I don't really go to the theaters much anymore, so I did not see it and don't plan to. But I am a fan of Alien, but I'm not excited about anything anymore, except for Star Trek and other stuff we got cooking. But right now, today, it's Star Trek, and really good start to the season.
Yeah, I enjoyed both very much as well. The second episode, already in my, already with the S+, well, S, clean slate. I'm guessing it's not going to be a threequel to Best of Both Worlds. We'll see. I'm excited to a fresh new story.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really couldn't ask for much of a better start to a season, so let's just keep it rolling.
It seems a young man's practical joke has come dangerously close to a lethal conclusion.
It could let in a child.
What kind of practical joke did he have? Did he blow up someone's house? Oh, shit.
Well, Mr. Potts, why don't we start at the beginning?
Potts.
We were at the arcade, sir.
Arcade?
I put the balloon into my vest, and then...
And then you made your 9-year-old brother believe that he'd killed you. And then he ran away, and while he was hiding, he ate the fruit of a cove palm.
It was just a joke, sir. I didn't think this was gonna happen.
Are you aware of the infectious nature of the parasites which inhabit the cove?
Why did his brother eat the fruit just because he thought he was dead?
I have to live on this planet now.
Oh no, my brother!
We're only 2 days away from Starbase 416, and their laboratory can isolate...
Can I isolate what, sir?
Oh, Data ate the fruit.
And I can tell you're angry, but if you're not gonna talk to me...
All right.
I dig it.
Straight into it, Hook.
I dig it.
What if the kid wasn't in the rest of the episode? Hook had nothing to do with it. We needed some way for Data to get in the turbo lift.
Now I know what you're all thinking. God, I love watching these two schlubs complain about Star Trek all day long, but I wish there was something I can do that's even more. Well, there's a little website I'd like to tell you about. It's called Patreon.com.
And today, those patrons are Prof. Moth, Thomas Monk, and Lee Heron. Thank you guys. We appreciate it so much, as well as all of our patrons over on Patreon. They allow us to post an overwhelming 2 Star Trek videos a week. So thank you guys so much.
Anyway, brothers. Okay. Brothers, Data.
You're clear to increase to warp 7.
Very good, Jody. Let me know if you...
Captain, did you request a course correction?
Woo! Brent Spiner's just so great. I mean, he literally convinces me that he's an android with some type of virus or malfunction. Just like so great.
If we're going to maintain our realignment progressions, we shouldn't be pushing warp 8 for at least an hour.
Commander.
And you can't stop Data.
Deck 1 life support failure in 30 seconds.
Turbolifts 2, 3, 4, everyone.
Transfer helm to engineering, Jody.
They're not even trying to stop him.
Do they even suspect him yet?
I think they do, but it's like, what can they do?
No, I don't think they do. I don't think they even understand.
Like, they didn't suspect anything when he didn't answer him?
Deck 1 life support has been terminated.
Oh! Oh, great shot.
Oh, yeah, that's neat.
I never knew they had a wood finish like that.
How could that be? There are 7 independent safety interlocks to prevent that. Captain.
Oh! I love that.
What, that shot?
Yeah, just them coming out of there. I don't know. Makes it feel real.
Force fields have been established on all main bridge turbolift doors and service crawlways.
Computer, locate Lieutenant Commander Data.
Rob Bowman.
Bowman.
Commander Data, do you hear me? I repeat, Mr. Data, do you hear me?
Computer, recognize Data. Lieutenant Commander.
The way he's speaking.
Disengage subspace communication.
Acknowledged.
He is on the bridge, sir.
Thanks, Wes.
The saucer module should fall out of warp within 2 minutes. Be prepared to sweep back. Pull it in with a tractor beam.
Aye, sir.
Oh, because Data's the only one in there. They evacuated everyone else.
Makes sense.
Computer.
They're making up for lost time with
Recognize
the
Picard.
ship saturation.
Jean-Luc.
Oh!
Priority clearance recognition Alpha 2.
Cancel separation sequence.
He knew!
Isolate all remaining command function and accept related orders and inquiries from main bridge only.
Orders regarding command functions are no longer accepted from your present location.
Ooh.
And just what location are they accepted from?
Interface terminals on main bridge only.
Bridge.
You're the only one who has clearance to localize command functions.
Thanks. Thanks, Wes.
I feel like Data did that very early on in the show, but I can't remember.
He's definitely impersonated someone before, yeah. Probably him.
I know that Ruck did it all the way back in season 1 of TOS.
Your security team.
No problem, Mr. Spock. Bear with me. Dr. Corby's records and specimens will require careful packing.
Wow.
What the hell was that? Great. Just great. The boy?
He's all right, but he's not going to stay all right. Sir, we have to get this ship to a star-based medical facility.
Oh, damn.
That's the quarantine.
Bubble boy.
Ooh, what if the whole episode was like something's just wrong with Data and they can't, like, get ahead of them? That'd be awesome.
Everybody's played a practical joke on somebody at one time or another.
Not me.
She's not wearing gloves or anything. It's just her hands in there.
It's never funny to the one getting fooled.
Well, I'm sure your brother didn't intend for it to get this out of hand.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Good job, show.
So maybe as her hands pull through, it eliminates anything that's on them.
There might be a slight delay in reaching Starbase, and I want...
There, you see? How can I tell him when he's not going to listen to me?
We better hope that Bruce Maddox or the guy from the Offspring episode doesn't hear about Data, taking over the ship.
Yeah.
Because we're like, see?
Estimate the time from this location to Starbase 416 at warp 9.
Inquiries regarding command function are no longer accepted.
Even questions?
Computer. Establish a security code for access to all functions previously transferred to bridge.
Enter code.
173467321 Charlie 32789777. Initiate cascade sequence. Accepting instructions from Commander Data en route. Now.
Oh, shit. What is happening?
What's this cold? Oh, nice try, geek.
Nice. The force fields are going as he's walking.
Yeah, the cascade, yeah.
Establish.
I was hoping that would happen. Just walk right into him.
I order you to stop.
Uh-oh.
No, it's too close.
This makes me think that Data can take over the entire Enterprise whenever he wanted, really.
Yep.
This is
too
not
OP.
far enough, Data.
Oh, shit.
He's gonna transport you. What? Oh, the site to site.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
What does he want down here?
I think he's gonna find that fruit.
We have no idea who's doing this.
Dude, I'm in pure bliss right now. Yes, beakers, green liquid. That thing.
Yeah, yes, my favorite.
Wait, what? What? Bro's alive?
You're right on time.
That's
Obviously, I'm thinking lore when I see the hand and the foot.
Yeah.
And then it's Soong?
It's Nudie and Soong, bro. He lives.
And one of these.
Damn, what a makeup job.
And I think even with the title, it was a fake out. That's like, oh.
Oh, brothers?
Yeah.
So did he just, like, hack into his programming? Like, oh, you're coming down.
I guess he has a remote switch he can activate whenever he wants. I don't think he's ever met him either.
Enterprise, do you read me?
I always loved that face.
Oh, look at his head, dude.
Oh, yeah.
He's got to be old. Really, Josh? Good one. Oh, nice.
I thought the Valor was. I thought I was tipping over for a second. Like, ah!
This is your lucky day, Data. You found your long-lost father, and he's alive. What do you think of that?
Is that Brent?
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
He must be hunched over so much.
Yeah.
I admit, I wouldn't have guessed I'd be running from a giant snowflake, but,
Bad?
I love that even like a separate character, not an android. It's still Brent Spiner.
Determine the absolute minimum field energy Dr. Crusher needs. And use the rest to get me onto my bridge.
And I love that none of these guys have any idea.
No clue.
I'm having trouble standing up. I get sort of dizzy.
You heard the old story about the man who goes to his doctor? Doctor, it hurts when I raise my arm like this. The doctor says, son, don't raise your arm like that.
Classic.
He feels very guilty about what happened. He's your brother.
Why is everyone so worried about him? I'm the one who's sick.
Do you like the other kid better now?
Yeah. Even though that is pretty realistic to how a child would act.
Yeah.
Well, me. Going through it.
So is this whole thing with the brothers and the sick kid just introduced so there's a reason why they can't shut down the force fields? Because it's trying to keep that quarantined kid.
I guess. I mean, they could end up connecting. I was thinking it was just an excuse for why they were in the situation to begin with, I guess.
Take us too far off course. Let's hope.
All right, Rob. Look at all these shots you're doing.
Subtle. The king of subtlety.
He loves that wood paneling.
Please enter security code.
87654.
I was afraid of something like this.
Sensors are operative.
well, at least that's something.
He doesn't even... Oh, he doesn't know it. So Data made that up, basically, to lock it.
Made what up?
That whole code.
Oh.
I was thinking it was like a code of Picard's he knew.
Oh.
But he made it up.
Yeah.
So that Picard couldn't get in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Data with his brain, he can remember it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God, not this.
Good.
As a kid.
Good.
Can you do this?
Yeah, classic.
Keep it up.
You having him do this soon, really?
I've been able to keep track of you from time to time.
Oh.
So you decided to emulate your emancipators, huh? How disappointing.
What choice of vocation would have met with your approval, sir?
Let me guess. Scientist?
Often hoped you might become a scientist.
The subtitles are on. That's why we...
Cyberneticist.
To follow in your footsteps, as it were.
I see nothing wrong with that.
Okay, I'm saying this right now. If I ever have a kid, I don't want him following my footsteps. Please do something different and cool.
Oh, especially ours?
It's a new one, bro. It's got... Wait.
Looks like we have ourselves a
Oh, it is Lord?
family reunion.
Wait a minute. I'm thinking he built another one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like, oh,
But then he sounds like he didn't even know he was coming.
Don't be ridiculous, Data. Lore is far from the maniacal android you've made him out to be.
Oh, you think that thing he did, the Data, also did it to Lore? So they both did anything they can to make it back?
One more. That should do it.
Why didn't you just take me apart again and be done with it? That is why the two of you captured me, isn't it?
Data had nothing to do with this lore.
This is crazy.
And, well, until you walked through that door, I had no idea you'd ever been reassembled.
Ah, okay. That's right.
I spent nearly 2 years drifting in space. If it hadn't been for a fortunate encounter with a Pac-led trade ship, I'd still be out there.
Pac-led?
Lore, wait. There are questions I can answer. You'll have no chance to ask them later. You see, I'm dying.
Wait a minute, what do you mean you're dying? You look fine. You're not that old. You look fine. What is this, some kind of a trick?
I wish it were.
This is crazy. They're just 3 Brent Spiners.
3 Brent Spiners.
Willie Potts has 24 hours, 36 tops. Goes much longer than that. The only thing left for Starbase 416 will be to do a post-mortem.
Camera pans. He's standing in the doorway. What?
Try, Miss LaForge.
Yes, sir.
What do you think of Troy? Well, we don't know.
You did what you had to do. What kind of an answer is that?
More interested in this anyway.
You were not functioning properly.
Love that outfit, by the way.
Is that a Packlet outfit?
I think so.
This is why I've brought you here, Data. Basic emotions. Your feelings. You may even learn to understand your evil brother. To forgive him. I'm happy for you. I question your sincerity, Laura. The procedure is quite simple. I'm tired. I need to rest first. I'm tired.
Dude, if he fucking dies, like he can't do the procedure, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
I'm
he's
gonna go
about to die.
rest, and then he just dies.
I wonder if Data's like you could have saved your granddaughter. You know what I mean? Because that was Law's whole issue, right? The emotions were too much.
I just hope we don't all be back looking like Data.
Great camera work here.
I just love this, that like they're doing this procedure or whatever, and like the Enterprise crew's just gonna break in, totally no idea what's going on.
Sons of the Prophet were valiant and bold.
I made a mistake. Take it out.
But of all the most reckless, or so I am told.
Or do you think while he was sleeping, Laura knocked him out?
Fuck, dude, you're right. I don't know.
What would you prefer I called you? Often wrong? What did Lord tell you about that? That is what the colonists called you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lore.
Data, how are you feeling? Often wrong's got a broken heart. Can't even tell his boys apart.
Now he has double emotions. Oh! This is basically Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader if their alignments were flipped.
Who served in the ranks of the Tsar.
Ah!
Ba, 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 ba.
Oh, he's gone!
Where'd he go?
Human is here.
And Data?
Okay, all these dinosaurs and that planet makes me think we're gonna see a dinosaur.
That'd be sick.
Execute instruction 5155. That will clear your memory block. I was unaware of having caused any inconvenience, sir.
We'll discuss it later, Mr. Data.
What? It's not his fault!
May I say goodbye to Dr. Soong, sir? Alone, sir. You know that I cannot grieve for you, sir. You will. In your own way. Goodbye. Goodbye, Data. Goodbye. Father.
Damn.
How many people are gonna have Data lose here? I'm sick of it.
Yeah. I traumatized the android over and over and over.
just get in the box. Oh, look at that.
The boys appear to have reconciled their differences.
They're brothers, Data. Brothers forgive.
I don't know, though. I don't know if I can forgive Lore for that. I mean, his one chance at emotions. But who knows? Maybe the chip would work if he got it from Lore. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, well, it's that time again. If it's your first time here this season.
Okay, he was Dr. Soong. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, that'd have been crazy if he wasn't.
Yeah, Mike. Then who was it?
Before we talk about the episode at all, we're going to tier rank it, S through E. All right. We rank Brothers 3, 2, 1. Oh!
S tier.
Opposite of last time.
Oh, who would have thought?
Let's figure out why.
Commander Data's out of control.
He's gone far enough, Data.
Lives are in danger.
We cannot even call for help.
He's being controlled by a mysterious scientist.
This is why I've brought you here, Data.
And comes face to face with an evil brother. Deadly reunion on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
They're really happy with that bump they took. They revealed lore. That sucks.
But they reveal Soong, but don't say it's
they
him.
Don't say it's Soong. I mean, you can probably assume after seeing lore.
Subtitles kind of spoiled that it was Soong.
Yeah.
So if you weren't watching with subtitles, as soon as he came down the ladder, before he even turned around, it said Soong grunts or something like that.
People put the subtitles on this, maybe didn't, have that in mind.
They're like, you've seen this show before.
Yeah.
Also, too, it wasn't a huge reveal. Like, it would have taken us 3 more seconds to know it was him. So it wasn't like it spoiled the whole episode or something.
Yeah, it didn't ruin anything.
But it was just funny. So when watching our reaction, if you wondered why we reacted so soon to it being Soong, that's why.
Well, coming off the heels of Family, we have Brothers.
I went from Data being the character I was most skeptical about at the beginning of this series to I think it's official. He's my favorite character.
Yeah.
I can no longer deny it. I can no longer, not that I had any reason to deny it, but I've been so up in the air, and I love basically every character of this show, but damn it, if every time Data has an episode, I just become so excited. And just the opening of this episode, like the whole thing with Riker and the kid, whatever, and then as soon as Data takes him out of the turbo lift and starts having the malfunction, and then that's the hook. So right there, it's like, it's a Data episode. I'm like strapping in, and my God.
I would love to see Brent Spiner's audition tape or audition whatever when they realized this guy can play an android. When this guy's face goes stone cold and like the top half of his face doesn't move when he's talking, it is the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. And like, it's scary. Data can take over the ship if he wanted to. And the thing is, this was just like a homing beacon, like do whatever you have to do to get back to Dr. Noonien and Soong. Like, what if that included blowing up the ship? Terrified. And Data just so easily just wrecked house.
Yeah, and efficiently.
Efficiently, yeah.
It wasn't sloppy. It wasn't like barreling through. He just knew exactly what to do, and just they didn't thwart one thing he did. Like, he just went right through whatever they wanted to do without being stopped. It is kind of scary, except we know Data would never do that. Lore would.
But someone could easily do that to Data. Now that we assume Noonien Soong is dead at the end there,
and hopefully no one else figures out how to do that.
Yeah, and now Lore is out there with this enhancement that wasn't meant for him, so he's even going to be more crazy when he gets back. But before we even get there, I just want to talk about how perfectly paced this episode was, with not telling us one thing of what's happening until maybe the middle of the episode, maybe last 20 minutes, and that was the fun part. It's like not knowing, why is this happening? What happened? All we heard was a switch go off in Data, which could be anything. Like, I had no idea it was going to be literally Brent Spiner as Dr. Noonien Soong, and so refreshing.
Listen, first of all, Brent, if you ever see this, you're amazing, okay? Please teach me. I mean, just from an acting standpoint, being able to pull off 3 different roles, all perfectly, and all, he's acting with himself, so he has nothing to work off of. All 3 of these characters, he's doing one at a time. And he goes, the Data we know and love, Lore, who's basically just your typical, kind of slimy dude, and then Noonien Soong, who's like this wise old man, and you can just see the emotion in his eyes and what he's been through, and it's Brent Spiner. It's insane. And the dude is so good, and I'm not trying to say that there's necessarily, I don't think other actors in the show could also do that, but Brent, because of his role, he's the one that gets to put it on display, and it's kind of like a bittersweet or a catch-22, where being Data, he's kind of trapped in what he can do episode to episode, but then it pays off where he gets to be the one that has episodes like this.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't make sense for Picard, really. It wouldn't make sense for Worf. Maybe they could find a way to do it, hologram, holodeck, whatever. But with Data, it makes sense with Lore, with Noonien Soong, all these things that, man, it was great. And the last scene, Data witnessing his father passing away, and it's Brent Spiner reacting to Brent Spiner in that moment. I mean, it took what Data Lore did to the next level, and it is like an improvement almost on Data Lore in a lot of ways. We get obviously more lore in Data Lore. He's not a star in this. He's very much a supporting role in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
But wow, yeah.
In fact, I even think they threw a subtle jab back at season 1, where it's like, oh, when I bonded with the snowflake or whatever.
Oh, the giant snowflake.
The giant snowflake. It's like,
yeah.
Yeah, no, just Brent Spiner just acting with himself and 2 stand-ins and having to film that scene 3 different times probably, or multiple times. That one scene, not even one scene, the multitude of scenes with all 3 of them probably took a long time because he would have to switch costumes. I mean, with Data and Lore it's a little easier, but with Nooney and Soon, he had to get in that full makeup thing, those prosthetics, probably 2 or 3 days worth of shooting, I would guess. And he even took a bump.
Oh, as the old man,
as the old man.
thrown into the stuff. Yeah, you can't have lore without you getting thrown into something.
That's the benefit of casting a younger actor as an old man. You can throw him around all you want. He'll be fine.
Yeah, and did I know instantly it was old man makeup? Yes, but it looked good, and it also was like more gruesome than it had to be. Like it, you could see the dark veins, the wrinkles, and the spots on his skin. Like they really wanted to put across that this guy is on his way out, and I think they did that really well. So credit to them.
What are you talking about? You look fine.
yeah, that was great. Him as Lore, Brent Spiner's Lore, that performance in Data Lore and here, iconic, excellent. It makes me wish Lore was a bigger part of the show, but I do also recognize that, having him show up so sparingly makes it special. You don't want it to be overused.
To the point where I didn't even believe it.
Oh yeah, I thought it was a new one.
Yeah, I thought it was like, oh, this is Boar. He's pretty boring, isn't he? But then I remembered, oh wait, because he was like blank, and knowing Lore, he would walk in like, hey,
yeah,
and like, oh shit, it's another one. But I remember Data walked in. Obviously, at the beginning of the episode, Data had that emotionless thing as well. In reality, Brent Spiner played 4 Datas: himself, Lore, Dr. Soong, and emotionless Data.
Oh yeah, true.
I mean, Data.
The whole first part of the episode.
Yeah, I mean, Data is emotionless, but like
more like machine-like.
Yeah,
Data.
machine-like Data. So really, 4 performances in one.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a great point. And yeah, the Lore appearance. I don't want to say I didn't expect him to return. I definitely did, but I did not expect it in the episode that we got. Like, I definitely thought it was him once Data first walks into Soong's building, and we see the hand and the foot. And instantly I think, oh, it's Lore. Now, in hindsight, what would Lore be doing with an extra hand and foot? Like, why would he take off his own hand and foot? I don't know. But that's, of course, what I think. In hindsight, it makes sense for it to be Dr. Soong, but what is he doing with that hand and foot? Like, that's what made me think, like, he might be working on something, and there was other things, like, around his house that he was building.
Yeah, all these test tubes and beakers and whatever that orange glowing light was, and all the dinosaur skulls. I'm like, what was he doing here? I hope that's something they... a dinosaur Data. Dinosaur android with Data's face.
Dino Data?
Yeah, Dino Data.
I definitely expected it, though, when Lore walked in, for it to be a new one, and he'd be like, oh, this is Gigabyte. or whatever. Like,
yeah, it's Terabyte or something.
Yeah, but glad it was Lore, because obviously, like he said when he showed up, oh, we have a family reunion. I mean, it was literally like the last episode, but for Data. Like, they realized, oh, we did that family episode, now we got to do it for Data.
Yeah, with these great emotional scenes that character build and add to the trauma of our lives. We should, finally listen to me. We should keep doing more of those. Those are pretty good, aren't they?
Except this wasn't written by Ronald Moore. It was written by
Rick Berman.
Rick Berman, who's definitely done stuff in the past. I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, and directed by Rob Bowman.
Rob Bowman has like sneaky jumped the list. He might be my favorite now of TNG directors. I mean, I love myself Cliff Ball. I love myself Renrick Colby, but Rob Bowman is so subtle. He's just a good-ass director,
Do you know what other episodes he's done?
Bowman?
Yeah.
Not off the top of my head, no. The only one I can think of was he did The Defector. I know that.
Oh well,
yeah.
I just like his little subtle touches of different filmmaking. Like the low shot with the wood paneling of the Enterprise. And just like they did a shot where like the wood paneling it's filming the wood paneling, but in the background is the character talking, and it like rides the wood paneling. Like, oh, it's so neat. Or even a simple one where someone's just walking into the transporter room, and like instead of just having the transporter guy like facing here, he did a lot of like shift focus in this, where like the focus is on the transporter on the chief, and then like switches to the people on the transporter. I'm like, this is a little different thing. Instead of Chief just standing there, he's like facing the wall doing something. I'm like, oh
yeah.
That makes sense.
I love the shot where Data, early on, when he was on the main bridge by himself, and there was a lot of far away shots. It was like the opposite of the Colby shots, where close up on the face. It was far away, like there on the bridge where we see the side of the bridge and Data's way in the back on the computer. And then when he's down at Noonien Singh's place, a lot of the shots of Data were like behind a desk and it was like a bunch of beakers out of focus. And then you just saw Data in the background. Like a lot of very creative shots. And that's what I love. You know, that's the technical stuff that we love. Not everyone cares about that. But, you know, it's interesting because, like, yeah, would the episode still have been great just shot like, you know, what's that guy's name? Spider-Man Homecoming and Far From Home.
John Watts.
Yeah, if it was shot like John Watts, just flat, you know, Judd Apatow, just shot reverse shot, like, yeah, the material still would have been great. But that subtle, great direction just lifts it.
Yeah, I just love when directors come in and put their own little spin on something, where it's like, it's not much, I mean, it doesn't change the context of the show they're directing, but it's like, oh, their own little twist on it, or it's something that can help elevate the story or create a different atmosphere or tension than a flat shot wouldn't do. Or even some flat shots just with a little lighting, just Data just in the captain's chair on a darkened bridge. I'm like, oh, it looks great. It looks so good.
Yeah, real quick, I wanted to so Rick Berman, making sure here, so it's actually pretty hilarious. So Rick Berman, we recognize the name because he is the executive producer of this show.
Okay.
But this is the first episode he's ever written. And great job. You know, great rookie performance here as the writer. I also thought this was hilarious. I'm just looking at his IMDb. Not only was it the first TNG thing, first thing he ever wrote, period. And before TNG, there was one show called The Big Blue Marble in the 70s that he produced, 3 episodes. But besides that, this dude is just Star Trek. Like, all of his credits are just Star Trek, starting with TNG. So he knew what he wanted to do, and he hit it out of the park.
Hey, company man, he knocked that. Good for him, and he did it. You did it. And when Laura actually showed up, I was bamboozled. You know, I got worked, basically. It's like, I totally believe that he wasn't going to be in it. It's like, good job, show. And it's like the Packlids rescued him, and he had a Packlid garb on, I'm pretty sure. So he's just been hanging out with the Packlid. He probably took over their entire society. And the Packlids are a season 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can tell this was written by a Star Trek guy. I mean, they referenced back to Laura's episode, Data Lore, with the Crystallis and all that thing, and then referencing another Star Trek character, the Packlids, that we actually recognize, because maybe that does happen more often, and people are like, oh, you missed that they referenced this from that episode, but when so many of the title characters and names are just like, oh, Tantus 4, blah, 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 3, it's like, but Packlids, I'll never get that out of my brain.
The Packlids were not in an episode we particularly like enjoyed or anything, but they were memorable. You got to give them that. Like, we remember the Packlids and the, you know, big, goofy, dumb guys, and they were trying to like keep Geordi or whatever they wanted to do. You know, they weren't like my favorite, but it was a good one to reference because it was created in TNG and we remember them. Loved the set of Dr. Noonien Singh's workshop.
Yeah.
Just that whole thing was great. I loved the planet. It was on this like jungle planet. Was really cool. This is definitely an episode where the rest of the cast has to take a back seat, but I'm totally okay with it. They did, I felt it was interesting. They felt the need to throw in this, what was essentially a throwaway B story. It wraps around at the end, but I'm never going to complain about Dr. Crusher being the one getting the B story and, you know, just having some charismatic lines. So
yeah, she had some nice moments with the kid about, you know, the doctor's joke about raising her hand. It's like, that's fine. Yeah. I don't like how it was basically just introduced. I mean, the two brothers, Data and Lore brothers, whatever, that's fine. But the whole issue that this kid's in quarantine for an excuse of why they can't shut the ship down completely to use the transporter to get Data. I'm probably butchering the reason. Don't, you know, crucify me for this. But basically, they couldn't complete what they wanted to do because they needed to keep a level of force field on to keep that kid in quarantine.
Yeah.
And it's like, was that the whole reason that plot was introduced? Just as like a, well, that's why we can't do that. Because, you know, there's probably a whole bunch of, I mean, there's scenes around that table where they give, like, reasons and explanations of why they can and can't do this. So I'm pretty sure with fans of this show, there's probably, well, why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? Why didn't they do that? So they have to, like, so it feels like they crafted this situation with this kid just to have that reason why they can't do that.
For as much as we nitpick and stuff, I feel like that is like one of the things we actually don't do.
The show, with its technobabble, is probably smarter than I am. I'm not a big science person.
Also, the show is fake, so who cares?
Yeah, you can make it whatever you want.
That didn't bother me that much, anything with the B plot. How much screen time do you think that all had? 7-8 minutes? Like, imagine having 7 or 8 more minutes with Data, Lore, and Dr. Soong. I mean, that would have been awesome, right? I was so interested in that. I mean, we've talked about how our favorite scenes are those boardroom scenes, and like when it cut to it this time, I was like, all right, let's get back.
Wrap it up.
Yeah, wrap it up. Like, because I was so invested in that other story.
I did enjoy him in the beginning though, before we figured out what was going on.
Yeah.
And I liked the whole battle between Picard and Data. Shut down Data. Just trying to figure out what's happening. Shut down the protocols that Data put in, so they can't do anything from where they're at. All that stuff was great. And like duking it out, and Data just shutting them all down. But once it was figured out what's happening, and it cut back to the ship, I'm like,
Yeah, but I did like the fact that it wraps around with the whole time is about this younger brother who, you know, almost dies essentially because of the older brother's mistake and forgiving him. That it's almost on the nose in retrospect, the way it wraps up about, oh, you know, forgiveness. And it's like, oh. But at the time, I didn't see it. Like, I didn't see that's where it was going. I was like, what is this random throwaway story? But so connecting at the end was like, oh, it's two different stories of brothers and forgiveness, but told in different ways, wrapping around.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Except we don't get much of it in the Data side. Like, it's mentioned, but
there's
other stuff going on.
The idea of forgiveness, but it never got to that point because just like Worf not donating his blood, it's like we'll save it for another day. We'll save it for another day. And I like how Laura's just back out there where we left him in season 1. What is he out there doing? Where did he beam to? I don't know, but it's like another day.
Yeah, and it's even more confirmed because in season 1 we just had a guess, like, oh well, we didn't see him die, so he's probably alive. Mm-hmm. Here he's alive. Nothing happened to him.
Yeah. But now he's crazy. You know, it's good when I bring up the score.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I wasn't. Yeah, I noticed it a few times where I was like, oh, that's good.
It's different. I think the peak of it was when Data was escaping. Is that when it like started to get really like towards the end when he like finally gets down to the planet?
Towards the end of the first part.
It was very like action movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit. I was getting hyped. I'm like, oh fuck, what's happening?
I thought it was pretty good when in Dr. Soong's death scene. I thought that it got pretty good there.
That was good too. Yeah. I didn't get to that level. I mean, I don't think I was going to get to that emotional level here. But when he did say, you know, goodbye, father, because he's been calling him sir the entire time, and then when he finally calls him dad, well, father, I'm like,
oh. Yeah, good point. I didn't get there. It just didn't hit me hard enough to where like I didn't spend enough time with Soong in the way that would make me emotionally attached because so much of it was like focused on Data and Lore and like Soong talking to them about giving them their background. Like, I don't really know Soong. I don't know about his struggles. Like, you know, so like, also he's an old man, so him passing away isn't surprising or shocking. Mm-hmm. So it didn't hit me like Lal, for example, where she's literally born. You get to know her throughout the episode, and then she dies shockingly. It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't get there. But nice scene nonetheless.
Yeah.
Of course, got to bring up credit on the scene to end it.
Yes.
On Data's curious face.
Yeah, too. And it let it sit there for a while too. Like the first credit popped up, and we're like, oh, and then it didn't end. It kept going, but like he was still like, and then another credit popped up. I'm like, oh, and then finally, you know, it's like, you guys are getting it. You're listening. You're listening to me.
Yeah, they're watching our videos and then making the show 30 years ago. But you know, it's really cool because, like when I talked about Sarek and I talked about, oh, the emotions I didn't even think about, like regret. Here was another example where I didn't think about things like forgiveness. By Data not having emotion, he wouldn't forgive Lore because he wouldn't have a grudge against him because he doesn't have emotions. So just the idea of when Lore's like telling him he's so sincere or whatever, and Lore's like, I don't trust your sincerity. He's not saying that out of like a distrust. He's just saying logically, you know, because of what Lore's past actions. And they're like, oh, and Dr. Soong says something like, oh, you need to be more like Data or more like Lore. I don't know what he says. But basically that wraps around to the end where it's like, oh, you know, if they were able to have emotions, he would be able to forgive him. But because he doesn't have those emotions, you know, it kind of robs him of that, you know. And it's like there's a lot of things that, whether it's friends or loved ones, siblings, parents, whatever in your life, that, you know, you forgive them simply just because, you know, you love them. And to Data, he doesn't love anybody, unfortunately. So it's like,
yeah. To add on to that, I like how Data says, you know, I won't be able to grieve you. And Soon's like, knows, it's like, you will.
In your own way.
Because he knows. He knows what he built, and even with Tasha, he kept her little stand. It's like, why do you keep these things? They're important to me.
Yeah, and another reason why that scene from the bonding with Data and Riker is one of my favorites so far in the series, where he essentially admits he doesn't feel the same way for this woman that just died in the bonding that he did for Tasha, and he doesn't know why. That right there shows he has some type of grief.
Something. Yeah.
It might not be what we think is grief, but he doesn't even understand it. But something's there, so he's gonna feel something for his dad. A little bit of a cheap TV tactic to this character you think is dead, and the characters have never met. Oh wait, they're alive. Then they get to meet them. Now they're dead. It's like, we used him for this episode to do what we need to do. Now he's dead again. But it happens in all of TV and movies. It's a very common thing. I knew as soon as the dude showed up, he was dying this episode. So it did not surprise me.
Yeah, basically looking at him like, this guy's not going to last.
Yeah.
And also, it ended exactly as it began before the episode started. Soong is dead, and Data's and Laura's missing.
Yeah, we just got confirmation that he didn't die the last time. But if you missed this episode, you didn't really miss it. Like, it's good for continuity-wise to, remember this.
Mm-hmm.
And next time, if there is one that Laura pops up. But it's just kind of like, damn, they made it episodic, that's for sure. Like, they made sure it was still episodic. We're still in that realm, which is good. I want it to be episodic, for the record. As much as we love continuity, I'm not looking for a fully serialized Star Trek yet.
Yeah, no. I'm not ready for that discovery.
Well, that was a lot of fun to talk about that episode, Alex. And you know what? We're going to talk about it even more over on Patreon with our Patreon exclusive discussion topic for this episode. We're going to discuss Data. If he had gotten those emotions from Dr. Soong, would that have been a positive or a negative thing for his character? Would it evolve him or rob him of what makes him special? This topic idea was given to us by patron Justin B, and we're going to discuss it exclusively over on the Patreon, so go check it out.
Lore's been known to sing. I'm pretty sure he sang in Data lore. And then after Soong puts in the chip of his head and Data starts singing, I'm like, I would have liked a little more slow reveal that it's Lore instead of Data. Because I started thinking, he changed clothes with him, as a joke. I'm like, oh. Then as soon as he started singing, I'm like, or a few seconds after he started singing, I'm like, oh yeah, that's definitely what happened.
Yeah, because at first I was like, oh, the singing is the reveal, but then it clearly wasn't, because he then says that line where he's like, you can't even tell your sons apart. And if he had acted exactly like Data and pretended to get emotions for the first time, whatever that would have looked like, Brent Spiner would have knocked out of the park, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says that line, then it could have got us like, oh, it's Lore.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't even thought about it. You're the one that brought it up, unless Lore knocked him out. And I was like, oh, shit. And then as soon as he started singing and stuff, I'm like, oh, yeah, it's Lore. So I agree with you there. I have waited 2.5 seasons, basically, for Lore to show back up. I started doubting he ever would. I thought they would just forget about him and bring him up by name once in a while. And then, Star Trek TNG 2, The Wrath of Lore, or something. But, he finally shows up here, and the reveal was so confusing that we didn't even know it was Lore. Now, because of the story of the episode, it makes sense. And again, this is where you have to distinguish. I'm not talking about what makes sense logically in this story. I'm talking about literally the way that it's written and created is what I'm talking about. How awesome would it have been, whatever episode it was, when Lore finally comes back, for that to be that, that punch, that instant reveal, motherfucker. He wouldn't say that. But, oh, it's me, it's Lore. But, the way that he walks in, and not the personality of Lore, to the point where we didn't even think it was Lore. And then they both say Lore, Data's like, it's Lore, oh, it's a family reunion. And then the next scene, the doctor's working on him, and he's still not woken up yet, and he's like, Lore's not as bad as you thought. All of them basically confirming this is Lore, before we even get to see him act as Lore. I've just been waiting for this Lore to show up as, boom, it's me, it's Lore, that it was just a little bit underwhelming.
I can understand your point there, but I like the long, drawn-out waiting. Well, once they confirm it's Lore, that's kind of gone. But I liked walking in, and that moment of, is that? It's no, it's not. That's probably just another... But once it's confirmed by Soong that it's Lore, it's oh.
Exactly, yeah. And don't get me wrong, the walk-in was awesome.
Yes.
The boots, Rob Bowman, the shot of the boots pans up. It's Brent Spiner. But imagine it pans up and he's already, smirking or whatever. And right away it's Lore. because of the story, he couldn't do that. Like,
or even better, like he's like this, and then he just goes. He starts off with a straight face, and then does the smile, and then cut to a commercial. It's like, oh, that would have been nice.
Yeah, and maybe you could have done something where like he still had the homing beacon went off, but because of his different circuitry to Data, it didn't put him in that mode. Or like Soong only was controlling Data purposefully, so Lore was able to have free will, but still like had that signal. You could have done something.
They could have done something.
Yeah.
Because he even says like, oh, when they puts in the emotions chip, it's like, oh, that wasn't designed for you. So
Yeah.
they could have sci-fi jibber jabber said something like,
yeah, in order to meet my personal preference.
yeah. I still enjoy it though. I
Yeah.
still like the slow reveal, but I still feel like instead of that long scene where we already saw him do it with Data, the tooth adjustment or whatever, and see him just do it again with Lore, it's kind of like, yeah, okay, something a little different would have been,
I mean, literally, or even just door, Data and Lore, door. Data says, "Oh, it's Lore," and Soong says, "Looks like we have a family reunion." Literally, just have Lore walk in, same thing, slow reveal. Then he's grinning, and you could even still have Data say like, "Oh, it's Lore," or whatever, and then Data be like, "Well, look," or Lore say, "Looks like we have a family reunion," and then it goes to, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's like it was right there. It's whatever. It's not a big deal. I give the episode an S, but but I was just kind of like, oh, okay. Oh wait, it is Lore. Oh, it's Lore. Okay. At least we did get the once he's awake and he goes like, like to go after Data. Like that was good. It was almost like instead of a B story, they could have done like a part 1, part 2, where it was like the first part of the episode is the whole Data taking over the ship and them trying to stop them, ultimately failing. And then the second half is everything with Dr. Soong. You didn't need another B plot. Like remember Heart of Glory, the first part when they're going over the Romulan ship and Geordi's visor and everything. Like that's the whole B plot necessarily. And then once the Klingons show up, it becomes that's the plot. Like it could have been similar here, but they just felt the need to also have this story with the kids that I didn't care about at all.
Or the sins of the father just changed the plot like 3 or 4 times.
yeah. So, yeah, it didn't really bother me at all. It just outside of, man, I wish we would have had more scenes, more time with those characters. And like I said earlier, Lord doesn't really shine in this one. It's awesome to see him, but again, it was more like, I don't know. I'm so torn. I almost wish there had been like a second Lore episode and then this one. Because it felt like we've only done Lore once and I've been chomping at the bit to get him again. And he finally shows up and it's just to like be featured in this episode where he's not really the focus. What do you think about that?
Save more for later. I mean, he's out there, and now he's going to be even more crazy with this thing that Soong put in him that's not designed for him.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited. Just take the time. Hopefully, we forget about him for another season and a half, and he comes back. And I hope it just builds to something crazy with Lore, where he's completely off the rails. He's the Joker, whatever. Brent Spiner is just given the ball. It ends with a Star Trek 3 Search for Spock fight between Data and Lore.
Oh, jumping off the cliff on him?
Yeah, between Data and Lore. Let go!
Yeah.
He does the backflip.
I do wonder if it'll get to that point of physical, like, he has to end Lore. You know what I mean? I wonder, or will he be able to flip him? That's what I'm curious about.
Soong and Data have that conversation like, oh, I wish you followed in my footsteps, blah, blah, blah. And I wish, because Data kind of did. It's like, oh, I constructed a daughter, and I almost, and it makes sense that Soong would have the chip then, and I built her, and she had emotions, but I could not save her because of blah, blah, blah. And Soong goes, well, it's funny you bring that up. It's like...
That would have been cool, yeah.
Wouldn't it have been nice, and like, maybe a moment where Soong's like, he realizes that Data, followed his footsteps and created something. Like, I don't know, just something.
Because he did, yeah.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah,
and also, or how Soong said that he was like checking in on him, like he could have even made a comment, been like, yeah, I saw you made an attempt, didn't work, not as easy as it looks, something like that. But yeah, they should have referenced it somehow.
And how would Lore react to the information? I have no idea about having a niece.
Welcome to the Patron Takes. This one is for brothers, and I think we got to start with you-know-who, Alex.
I think I know exactly who you're talking about. The Lore! He says I like this one. Well, I'm glad you do, the Lore. It makes sense. I'd be really surprised if you didn't. And we like this one as well.
And the patrons gave this one an A on their tier list.
Okay.
So not quite S. S was in second place, but A had over 50% of the total votes. So people are blaming the kid storyline for knocking it out.
That's my same reasoning, too.
Yeah, because you didn't give it an S, yeah. I
Yeah.
thought this was an easy S. This was my favorite by far of the season thus far. 3 episodes, but it was my first S. So it's a case of me, myself, and I for Brent Spiner as he takes on 3 roles in this episode. And he did a great job, absolutely.
Give the guy the ball, he'll score. Is there anything that Brent can't do, playing 3 people in the same scene? Outstanding.
Absolutely, so kind of the same thing there.
I'm going to say no.
No, there is nothing he can't do, at least that I've seen. I always love it in Star Trek when Worf or somebody is staring at a tricorder and says, they must be in there. And it's the only big fuck-off building on the planet.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's not much else around. It's like, oh, really? There must be?
That reminds me of, man, I miss in TOS when they would be down on a planet and they're like, wait, where could it be? And then like the camera just pans over and they'd be like, over there. And it's just like an opening in the cave where it's like, clearly it's in there.
Another reminder of how rewarding but how dangerous it is to have Data on the ship. Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. He could take over because people have hacked him quite a few times now. It's like we're one hack away. I said if Bruce Maddox or that asshole from the Law episode, The Offspring, if they found out about this, Data's cooked, bro. Cooked.
I mean, what else is there to say? Lore. We finally meet Lore again and Data's dad. What's not to like? We're continuing with the family theme. And it was kind of just like a sequel of Family, but with Data.
Now, if they can do a sequel to this episode with a whole new plot somehow, called Fathers and Picard. No, we already had a Picard one. Screw it. Geordi's dad. Geordi has daddy issues.
Yeah, he hasn't really had any family stuff yet, so
no,
that'd be a good one.
Typical. You wait a whole episode for Brent Spiner when 3 come along at once. Then 3 come along at once. Yeah. Yeah, because he wasn't. Yeah.
He wasn't really in.
He wasn't in the last episode at all. And you know what? They're like, here you go.
Oh, yeah. Didn't they say it was like the only episode of the show he's not in at all?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Crazy. I love the sequence of Data taking over the Enterprise. Not just entertaining, but also shows how powerful, dangerous Data is. That's what you were saying a lot. And I don't want it to be overshadowed by all the Soong stuff. Like, that stuff's all amazing. But that first part was really, really good. I really loved that, too.
It was amazing. It was like an action movie. It was like a spy movie. And we had no idea what was going on. We were left in the dark. And, like, the crew didn't even believe it at first. Like, they gave, like, nods to Data when they were, like, leaving. And they even asked him a question they didn't answer. And they still didn't come to the conclusion that it was, like, Data until, like, towards the very end of the heist. A nice glimpse at the unspoken protocols, with the 3 senior officers being the last to leave the bridge, and each taking a separate turbolift to ensure at least one makes the engineering. Oh, okay. At the beginning, when all the lights go down, 3 different turbolifts to make sure that one makes it.
Yeah, I really like that.
That's a good protocol, yeah.
And it's like just kind of snuck in there. They didn't make a big deal of it. And I love when like, Picard and Data look at each other and nod, and then Picard goes in and Data just goes right back.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, okay.
That was great. Did either of you suspect that Lore might show up in the episode, especially when Soong mentioned the signal? I thought he would show up the whole time, and here's the thing. Right when I stopped thinking he would show up is when he showed up. And that's what was so great about it, as much as I did have gripes with the way they did it. You know, it's been a meme where, like, every time something happens with Data or goes wrong with Data, we instantly think Lore, because we just want him to come back. And here was like, oh, it's Lore. The episode's named Brothers. It's Lore. He's acting weird. It must be Lore. Did Lore switch with him at some point before this episode? Is Data actually in a closet somewhere? Gets down to the planet. Oh, it's Soong. Okay, it's Soong. And then it's Lore. It was like, oh, shit. It was a great way to do it.
Yeah, it was a very Heart of Glory type reveal where you think it's Romulans. You think it's Romulans. It's Klingons. And once, like, similar to once it wasn't Lore, it was Soong. I'm like, okay, then Lore's not in this episode. It wasn't until he walked in the door. Even when he walked in the door, I'm like, that's not Lore. That's Jim, the third robot built by. Until it said until Soong confirms that that's Lore, I didn't believe it. So good job, TV episode.
Another TNG episode, now in the books. Did TA hate it, or did they get hooked? Will they ever get it? We may never know. TNG Season 4, let's go! Warp speed, engage, engage. Warp speed, engage, engage. get bothered, but TA feels sublime. They tear into your favorites, they love ones you hate. Yet you can't get enough of the reactions they make. They pop for big moments and make clever jabs. One half of the scene they will always yap. They've been at this for years with many more to come. Join this journey, set your phaser to stun. Warp speed, engage, engage. Warp speed, engage, engage. Warp speed, engage, engage. Warp speed, let's go, let's go.
To me or something like that, but I'm like annoyed that you're late, even though I like changed the time and you would have never known.
Okay,
something along those lines.
I have no idea what Slack is. So
Okay.
I was very confused.
Well, that's good. That's what you should be when it happens.
Warp speed, engage, engage. Warp speed, engage, engage. Warp speed, engage, engage. Warp speed, let's go.
Basically, be like, you'll be on this side of the thumbnail, and then like I can put something here.
Okay.
There you go, big yawn for this one. Bored. All right, whatever you want.
Do you want me like looking this way?
You don't have to. You can do whatever you want. Look at the camera. You can look that way, wherever you want. All right, and then I'll sit there and do one. Yeah.
Yeah.